Awesome. So we're back. And we're going to keep our deep dive into Final Fantasy XIV. If you're just tuning in at this second half, I'm Kate, co founder and editor in chief of But Why Though. I'm helping moderate this, and I'm doing it with Matt.
Hello.
Matt, this is where you
I
intro
forgot
yourself again.
My bad. I don't intro myself on any of these things. I'm just going to repeat myself. So if you want part one, we're back to part two again. Yes, I'm Matt. I'm also co-founder of But Why Though, and obviously avid Final Fantasy XIV player, and I help Kate with things.
He does a lot of things. He does games, he does content, he does things. And we're here with Winter.
Hi, I'm Winter. I'm been playing this game for a long time, as I mentioned earlier. I'm really huge into the housing with this game, and I know we're gonna be talking about that later. So yeah.
Awesome. Dave?
We're doing re-intros of Day to Dave. Twitch.tv/Day to Dave. Voice actor, streamer, do a lot of TikTok for fun. And yes, I play a lot of games.
Sea Monster?
I'm that sea monster, and I play Final Fantasy.
Hi, Simon.
That sounds like an addiction.
Exactly. It sounds like hi.
Trying to get off my MMO. Severe MMO addiction. I mean, I do, but like I also make a webtoon and stream. And you can find me at twitch.tv/thatseamonster and no such thing over on webtoons.
And Frank.
Hey, I'm Frank, aka Technique. I love MMOs a little too much. Play them all the time. If I could just stream that, that's what I would do. I mean, you never know. We might be getting in there. It's a boom on MMOs now. Yeah, I do a lot of things. Come by the channel and check me out.
And
obviously like Final Fantasy.
Yes. And our first question to start this off is, what do you love more about Final Fantasy XIV? The story or the mechanics?
My answer is...
Go Dave, go.
As the person most late to the story that was introduced to Shadowbringers, definitely mechanics. But it's been a nice story. I'm learning.
Why the mechanics?
Mechanics. I just love playing roles. Healing especially. It's just fun to micromanage, but I gotta dodge at the same time. And same with tanking. If I don't switch my dang, I can't think of a shriek. If I don't get my aggro away in time, I'm dead or somebody else is dead. So it's always fun just being a part of that process.
Who wants to go next? Let's do Sea Monster.
Wait, what?
What?
Oh.
Oh, no, could I get the question one more time?
Oh.
She's like, I'm serious.
What do you love more?
My dogs were frolicking, and I was like, oh, they're getting along.
What do you love more about Final Fantasy XIV? The story or the mechanics?
Everyone hot. So I guess story and character design, and I guess the mechanics of dad ass.
Yeah. They put a lot of love and care into those mechanics.
I like the physics.
Winter?
Same as Dave. I'm very into the mechanics. I started this game raiding. And even though I don't do it anymore and I only do primals on the side, I love how the mechanics of this game change and they progress over time. They get harder and harder. And you went from normal raids to savage, and now you got ultimates. And if you don't want to be that hardcore, you can go just do primals and just extreme with some sort of challenge. So I really like that. Story wise, I don't know 80% of it, but same as Sea Monster, I know the hot ones. I know their names. And at least know the main cast and PCs.
Yeah. Frank?
So, I mean, the story is great. It's a Final Fantasy game, but I'm gonna agree with the mechanics, and something that Winter said is like the one thing that I noticed and I loved. I was terrified with the idea of being a role as tank, because tank, you're kind of like, you almost feel like a leader in your own way, because if you don't tank, everyone wipes, it's kind of thing. But you can't do it by yourself. But seeing the mechanics grow from ARR to where it is now, and you still dealing with the same mechanics, it's just an evolved version of it. It kind of teaches you along the way to accept mechanics and knowing that standing in that's bad, Zadner, the latest open world kind of like 48 or whatever that raid similar what is it, a raid mochi? I don't even know what it is.
It's anyway. An instance.
Yeah, that instance. That was my favorite content because you got thrown in the fight to do critical engagements and you didn't know it. You died a lot. I mean, you died a lot and you were on the ground and everybody's just looking at you, and like resing you to die again. But you progress. And like, I got into a point where we in chat, like, I'm just like, yeah, chat, I got this. We ain't done. We're not going to get hit, and the reward was getting that one-on-one engagement that I'll never take because I'm not embarrassing myself like that. And that was my biggest heartwarming. And because she's the elite raider, not me. And I'm trying to learn to get there, and like making people proud is like awesome. Like, did I do good, chat? I love asking that question. So yeah, the mechanics is definitely my biggest thing.
Yeah.
I'm going mechanics too, but much as some of the rating stuff, I'm just gonna go with I enjoy a lot of the crafting. Like I will sit and fish for about a few hours and it doesn't bother me. And like obviously that's something else, but like I just enjoy doing a lot of that other stuff, and even some of the crafting quest lines that they've added, and some of the questing, just doing a lot of the other like making crafting like interesting has been a lot of fun, and just doing all that. I mean, the story is good, like everybody says, and it's great. But I mean, I probably, if you look at my time played, it's been done more crafting and other stuff than actually like doing the story itself.
Yeah,
and the golden saucer.
I love the golden saucer. Obviously, we all know what I do during story time. I honestly just genuinely like all of the mechanics because it's fairly easy to learn what your role is, and it's fairly easy to execute it well enough to like kind of lose some of that pressure because like kind of like what you said, like Frank, like I always worry coming into an instance, a trial, whatever, and I know that I don't know what I'm doing and I'm a tank. But like once I get back into it, it's like muscle memory and it's super easy to be able to play the role. And I feel sometimes backtrack a little bit, and it also helps too that every class has like their dynamic classes, so that if there is somebody on your team in your group that isn't necessarily doing things correctly or may not be pulling enough or like that, you can balance each other out and you can kind of adjust, and sometimes you wipe, but other times like you can learn how to adjust for where those smaller pieces are, so I don't feel like you're consistently getting stuck into things. And so that I really like. And I don't think I'll play anything but a paladin, although like now I'm like I am gonna make a bunny boy dancer because I think that's what I want to do. But like that piece of the mechanics is something that I really appreciate, because I, even as much as we put time into ESO or we put time into WoW, I never truly felt at one with my tank. And I feel at one with my tank when I play Final Fantasy. So the next question, there's gonna be a lot of questions, so on the screen it just says let's talk housing, because there's a lot to talk about with housing in Final Fantasy. Whether it's waking up at 3 a.m. to buy a house, or the fact that Final Fantasy XIV has kind of turned into like a microcosm for the American real estate market right now. And Winter, I'm gonna ask you, because you spent a lot of time with housing pieces, whether it's designing or just knowing how to get a house. Can you kind of break down the process for people who may not know what the process of getting property in Final Fantasy XIV is?
Yeah, I would love to. So the first thing about Final Fantasy housing is it's very limited. It's basically a first come first serve basis. At least that was how it was when housing first came out. With your question or with your comment about do I have to wake up at 3 a.m. in the morning, that's a yes and a no actually, and I'll talk about why in a little bit. But right now, with the current system of the housing, is you basically have to camp a plot to get one. It's ridiculous, but I guess it's the only thing that Square Enix could do to help get rid of bots who are just like running to the placard, getting it, and basically not allowing real players like us to get a house. Because when housing first came out, you could literally, if you see a plot, you can go up to it, get it. So right now with the system, there's something called a hidden timer. So by the time a plot opens up, whether it gets demolished by somebody or somebody just leaves it, a hidden timer starts. It can The hidden timer basically means that the plot can open up for anybody who's trying to get it between when it opens up to 24 hours or more. So that's why people call it camping at a placard. And from the years of the system being this way, people have seen that the prime time of when these plots open up is between 10 to 14 hours of it from the last of it being open. And so the 3 a.m., if it falls under that prime time, then yes, you'd like to wake up at 3 a.m. But if not, then you don't have to. So that's why it's really crazy, because we were talking about community earlier, and there's a huge housing community. I'm talking about housing community for people who are looking for houses, for people who want to relocate like to a new to better houses, to upgrade from like a small plot to a medium. And there's a whole like community for designers, or people who are looking for people to design their homes. So the community that's helping people to look for their first time homes, they actually implemented this thing to where people sweep. They call it sweeping. So because there's a chance at the top of each hour for a plot to open up for people who don't. So basically, I guess, like, to backtrack, I know I said I'm trying not to be like,
no, I'm
so
learning
much
This is how
information.
complicated housing is, apparently.
I'm like,
So Square Enix made it so that people who don't play actively lose their house, which makes sense. So if you don't log in and enter into your house every 45 days, you will lose your house. So at the top of each hour, there are like devoted religious people who look through these housing districts to see if there's a plot that opened up, that somebody who has not been playing for 45 days lost their house. And it could be any size. It could be a small, medium, or large. Actually, in Leviathan, just last night, there was a large plot that opened up. Yep, in the mist. And somebody saw it who was sweeping. And it's like crazy, because you wouldn't think, like, the chances of that is just crazy. Yeah. So they implemented it so that these sweepers would report what they've seen and the time that they saw it open, so that it helps people that are camping know the prime time. So it's been really awesome. And so but come 6.0, there's gonna be a whole other system. There's gonna be something called a lottery, where I mean, I'm not well versed into it because I haven't like actually sat down and read it, but there's gonna be a whole other system for it. And it's gonna be really interesting, especially as Ishgard is coming, which is a whole new other housing district. So yeah.
Wow, that's a lot. And the reason I kind of like phrased it like that is like Matt and I really want a house, but we're too broke. And so it's like real life, right? Like you just kind of gotta like go grind away and hope that
we can't afford a large, but we can afford a house. Problem is there's just no houses.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
You told me that we didn't have enough money to get a house.
We have enough money for a small house. We do not have enough money for a large house.
Okay, I deserve a large house.
Some large houses go for billions.
Yeah, I was like, we don't have that kind of money.
So right now, what Frank said with houses going for billions, the actual plot is not a billion. The actual plot, the highest, the most expensive one, is 50 million. But if you're trying to ask somebody to leave their plot and open it up for you, then that's where it gets expensive. And that's where the whole real estate thing comes in that you mentioned earlier.
There's a real estate company on Final Fantasy. And there's an HD TV on Final Fantasy.
Yep.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Like real.
Yeah.
So what
like, isn't there a guild called real estate? I forgot, but there's like a guild that has real estate people that go out and
I just want
Are they called HGTV? The guild?
They're not a guild, they're a community. They're actually called HGXIV.
That's awesome.
That's amazing.
I want somebody's stream to just be Property Brothers, but Final Fantasy.
So
that's what I want.
Dress the characters up like them. That'd be so cool.
That would be so funny. But the community HGXIV, and there are actually other communities where they stream houses. Like they have people sign up.
Tours.
The houses that they designed, and they stream house tours.
Wow.
Like seriously, they walk in the door to be like, "This is a nice decor."
Honestly, if you actually want to see, you can literally tweet right now and be like, I want to see your houses. Can you tell me your addresses or whatever? And people will tell you their address, even post pictures of what they've done.
Yeah.
And you're like, they would love for you to visit.
Wow.
This is wild.
I want to do that.
So I do, and that begs the next question. So how many, like, who has houses here, and like, how did you get your house, and are you living in the billions with the large plots?
I have stories and feelings. Now that I know it was a large yesterday, I've been checking every time I log in.
Dave.
I was hurt. I've been waiting for a large. We saved up and everything, but. To answer the question, I have a small personal house and a medium FC house. And how we got it is, remember we first got a chance to transfer servers? Like for free? So when everybody transfers, that means most people transferring lost their house. So it was just a bum rush every day to be like, we need to all switch, get together, everybody grab a house. So we spent like 3 days, little sleep, waiting for that timer. Everybody's just plotting. That got taken. So most of us did get a house, but not a big one. But we all started with small, eventually a medium opened up, and we did that. But it took, like, we stayed up like 6, 7 a.m., like, I'm on nap, wake back up for it. And one more story, how crazy it was when they opened up. I think it was 5 more plots on each server, if I'm not mistaken. Not server, each number. It's like a 1.
The wards.
Yeah, the wards. Thank you. So what was funny is everybody logged in when that first came in, and just people. I heard people had speed running routes. They tested when they need to go diagonal. I've heard people train days. Slide told me about it. Just timing how long it took them to this house. Which one's better? Where should I log in? I was like, wow, this is harder than the raids. It is called a housing savage for a reason.
Wow.
So, see, Kate, this is why we don't have a house, Kate. Not because
it's because of her.
It's crazy.
I don't know the angles and the directions of jumping. Like, I'm sorry.
Honestly, with the Ishgard coming, I believe they're making it so that players who don't have a house have a bigger chance to get it.
Oh, that's good.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna have a whole 24 wards, and each ward has 60 plots, which is a combination of small, medium, large.
Yeah.
24 times 60, so you have like all those new plots if you want to go to Ishgard, plus all the other people who are going to be leaving the old housing district. So there's I'm pretty sure that Yoshi P and his team really want it so that people who don't have a house can get a house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have an apartment, and I feel like that was hard enough to get the apartment.
Yeah.
So like I don't like that kind of, and I had a friend help me. I had one of my stream friends help me get that apartment, and it was like a whole thing where we had to race and get it. But like even that was, I know it's not as big as the housing debacle, and apartments are far more readily available than housing. But it's
I didn't know those were hard to get, because I looked into one. They're like, "You want to buy this?" I was like, "No, I don't want an apartment. This feels bad."
Yeah, so when
Just like
apartments,
real life. It's like,
yeah, you gotta shop for
I'm
it. Yeah.
I'm looking at places to move right now, and my mom sent me an email recently and was like, "Look at this cute apartment." But like, I'm in a house right now, and I'm like, I don't want an apartment. It just feels bad, and like that just described my feeling towards that
Yep.
I agree.
perfectly. I was like,
Yes.
this feels bad. I want my yard.
Yeah.
Oh man. But yeah, that was a whole moment in and of itself. So I'm gonna try and go for housing when Ishgard opens up, and I'm like mentally trying to prepare for it.
Yeah.
I
Gotcha.
don't know if I can though. Like I might give up right now.
It's a whole other content mechanic of Final Fantasy that is annoying but so exhilarating at the same time.
Yep.
See, I need a house hunt with you guys, because
Yeah.
like me doing it like by myself or with like maybe one or two other people who are also like feel pain from housing is probably not the way.
See something that you can definitely do, like, you know, while you're playing Final Fantasy and you want to take a break from story or like content in general, is like you can just bring a bunch of your friends and literally just go around the housing districts and look at different plots, and like even go inside and see what people have done to decorate. Because when I was helping a friend of ours in our community, her name's Nika, I was helping her find, she already had a house, but she was wanting to see if she could get a medium. So we were both just going around different districts trying to figure out which plot she would want if it ever opened or something, you know? Because then you could see like, oh my gosh, this is a really nice, like this is a really nice yard, but it's like not facing the beach, aka Shirogane, you know, like so that's something that you can definitely do.
This kind of reminds me of what I used to do with my mom on like Sundays when she was bored. She'd be like, "You want to go for a drive?" And I'd be like, "Yeah." And we just drive around neighborhoods and like
Yes.
look at open houses in
I
the
mean,
we'd find the bougiest neighborhood, and then we would always act like we were gonna buy that house.
you can literally do that. Like just pull up your Final Fantasy 15 car from the gold saucer, get three of your friends in, and just drive around the housing districts.
Yeah, as a kid, I'd be double fisting cookies. My mom would be like, "Oh yes, oh what are these floors? Oh, they're so nice." I would probably redo the carpet though.
Oh, sounds fun.
Oh,
I have a
sounds like
house.
the way.
It's a large. It's because of her. It's on a really nice plot that a lot of people want, because it's that. Where is it? Where is it? Mist?
No, lavender beds.
Lavender beds, and it has its own like private area that you can go out. You can't put anything on it, but it's still yours because I claim it. And it has its own bridge, and it leads to like a market board and stuff. And I love it. And we have the neighbor, when we show up, the neighbors come and hug us and pat me on the head. And I'm just like, they're just like, we haven't seen you in a while. I'm like, that's creepy. But it's they're so active. But it's amazing to see how the housing is it's its own game. It's like, and now with the personalized like farming thing that's coming, like I don't even want to know what people are gonna go through with that, because that's gonna be wild. But at least we all get it. You know? So that's a good thing.
I feel like, Winter, if you started streaming again, you could rebrand as the Final Fantasy real estate agent.
Wear a suit.
Where like you could wear like a little red jacket with like a Moogle pin on it.
Oh my gosh,
that would be adorable.
And like just do house tours for like 2 hours and be like, here's a really lovely 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath.
Lavender beds.
Lavender bed location overlooking the lake.
Or because you're a designer and you can like see who wants you to go design their houses, and you can flip or flop it and like renovate their houses.
There are a lot of people that do that. You give them a certain amount of guild, they'll join your FC and design the whole place.
Yeah,
that's,
like
that's exactly what we do.
Like you can be.
You should do that.
Yeah.
You really should.
She does. She's a flip flopper.
So would you sell your house on the secluded house? For like $1 billion, $2
Mine?
billion. Yeah.
Heck no, that house is mine. Look, I wanted to go to Ishtar. She told me how the new housing stuff was working. I was like, I'm good. I don't have to go. Keeping my life in it. I love that house so much.
God,
it's her storage.
So how
It's
many
too
houses
real.
can people have?
So you can have a personal house and you can have an FC house.
Okay.
You can only have one personal house. So you know how an account can have 8 characters per world? You can only have one house per world. I'm guessing. But yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, that's good. Yeah. Okay. Matt, we need a house now.
Oh yeah, we're all over it. See, Winter's right over there, or that way.
She's good.
So the next question, we've talked about Ishgard a little bit. I wanted to just dive into talking Endwalker. You know, it's been like almost 10 years with this game. There's a lot of hype around Endwalker. We've already touched on our excitement for it in part 1 and a little bit here too. How is everybody feeling? Like, are you like filled with anticipation, excitement? Like, what are you expecting from it? Let's just kind of talk about our feels about the Paladin on the moon, which is all I keep thinking about, because that was such an amazing intro.
That intro makes me a little nervous, though. Not gonna lie.
Let's dive into it.
So, lore-wise, what that hints at is that the world is way too messed up as it is, and a rejoining might be necessary. I feel like it kind of hints at that a little bit. But I feel like we're going to start with Charlia and we're going to end up on the moon for our final arc. I don't know if the moon is... I feel like it's teasing a little bit towards the rejoining getting closer. But that's sort of the red flag it raises for me. I'm like, are we looking at rejoining a shard and that's why we're on the moon? I don't know. Are we going to find a safe way to rejoin where sundered souls come together and not everybody dies? I don't know.
So existential dread is how would you sum up?
Kind of. Well, something that gives me red flags about Fandaniel. So if we remember our lore from Shadowbringers, we have the 14 members of the Ascian Convocation, of which we were once a member, as the Warrior of Light. And Fandaniel was also a member of that convocation. Fandaniel, though, is a little suspect because all of the Ascian's marks and symbols are based on the FF12 Esper symbols. Mm-hmm. And his is based on the symbol of Hashmal, which is the Esper opposite, and it's inverted. So the glyph is actually the white space of it, whereas everybody else's is the glyph itself. So one is the outline and one is not.
Yeah.
Which suggests that Fandaniel may be an imposter from the convocation, and is operating underneath the convocation's name, named member Fandaniel, but might not actually be him. There's also the dialogue about the dreamer, where Fandaniel and Xenos are talking about like, oh, it seems our dreamer is still dreaming, and then Xenos goes, well, let him dream then. So in regards to the Ascians, dreamers are people who have intense creation magic, who basically can just create things or make things happen with a thought. I don't know if they're suggesting that the Warrior of Light is a dreamer, or if there is another Ascian who is operating with Fandaniel as, who is a dreamer that we will eventually have to face. So it's like, I kind of think that Fandaniel might be actually a vessel for Zodiark. And that's sort of like, especially with the white space glyph and some of the weird aspects of Fandaniel and his intense nihilism, it does make me think that maybe we're going a little bit into Edgy Town, and he is somebody who either offered himself to Zodiark and became a vessel, or is Zodiark himself.
I'm gonna turn it over to Frank because you look like you got thoughts.
Sorry.
No, that
Sea
got
Monster-
real deep, and watching Frank's face is like, oh my god, I gotta.
I'm gonna try to be like super non-spoiler, but she's knocking on the doors.
I know.
Yeah,
like,
it's definitely gonna be edgy
hey.
because Yoshi P has been waiting. It's all lines up with edginess because the whole Reaper class, that's something that they created for Final Fantasy XIV, bringing in edginess. Our buttock villain being extremely edgy, and he's not even the worst part. You know, it's the Ascian we're dealing with now. He is lost. He's out there, and he just wants chaotic destruction. And this is the end of the Heidelin saga, which is, I said that so easy, but it hit you because I was like, oh, 6.0, 6.1. Well, no, this is 6. This done, like, you know, and we go into the new arc. And also outside of this, Yoshi P is also working on Final Fantasy 16, which is extremely edgy. There's blood. Like when we saw blood, we were like, yes, that's what I'm talking. So, and Shadowbringers really started getting dark, and I was just like, okay, the creative license is going ham right now, and Yoshi P, I am here for it. And like just seeing Endwalker and how the you know, the main character, so to speak, the Warrior of Light that they have, he's just gritty, but he's in like the light armor, but he's still, I feel like he's still suffering from the loss of everything in Shadowbringers, and you kind of had it, you know. It's just like he's being pulled around left and right, and he's just kind of over it all. The stuff with the Ascians is getting deeper and deeper. We realize that we're not the real answer to everything, and that what they're going through, what they're trying to do, and what the mission was from day one is probably the right thing to do. It's that Thanos theory, you know. It's like you got the right idea, maybe going about it the wrong way type thing. So I
will say, Tech, to your point about the increasing edginess. So Ishikawa is the lead writer for Shadowbringers, also the lead for Endwalker, but was also the one who wrote our Dark Knight storyline.
Yeah. Yep.
So Ishikawa likes big tragic moments. Ishikawa likes it to get really, really dark and really edgy. Ishikawa feeds off of people's tears and has like openly stated that. Yeah. Like I think there's one line from an interview with her that was like, "I'm so happy I could make you cry." Yeah. And like Ishikawa's not afraid to kill off larger characters, even for smaller stories. So it's little George R. R. Martin energy.
Yeah.
So like I'm afraid.
That is amazing.
Like,
yeah, we're definitely gonna lose. God, I'm trying not to do spoilers.
I know.
The new trailer, if you haven't watched it, is scary. It's so dark, especially at the end. There's something with Alpha Node, that's all I gotta say. And it really
many red flags. Like he might as well have said, "I'm 2 years from retirement." Like
or I'm gonna die.
Yeah. Like the red flag energy around Endwalker, and because we're getting close to the end of the franchise, it's like no one is safe.
Now that we have impending doom, dread, edginess, all of these things, what is, I guess, like, what are everybody else feeling? So we got deep lore with Tech and Sea Monster, which I'm actually really like excited about and interested in, because like there's a reason why I love Berserk, and there's a reason why I love darkness, and all the things that I read. So I'm excited for that. What else? What are you feeling, Dave?
Well, you all definitely got me interested in the story here.
Yeah,
so
I know, right?
I was like, huh?
My reasoning's a little bit more simple. Honestly, Sage class is beautiful. Being me, I love anything mech anime, etc. So like, it just feels like, oh man, what do you mean? I can shoot lasers and heal people? Yes. So like, I'm really excited for the new separation between shielding healers and regen healers, because you know, like you kind of could do both to a degree as an Astro, even a Scholar to a degree. So being like, I really want to see how are you going to separate us, because majority of the healers in my guild FC, we want to be shield healers. So it's like, look, like either we gonna split or we just gonna work it out. So I'm like, I'm just gonna do damage and y'all figure it out. Keep your health up. But that's what I'm most excited about, because healing got me into raiding. I went in as just pure healer because Astro reminded me of Yu-Gi-Oh! With I might get defense, I might get attack. That's the only reason I learned it. And so going back to a healing class seems like a lot of fun. Even though I main tank now, that was more like, I like low key times. But yeah, so getting back into that's gonna be great. I'm really looking forward to raiding and especially PvP.
What about you, Winner?
Honestly, aside from like the new class stuff, because those are always super, super exciting. I'm just really interested to see how they're gonna top Shadowbringers. Because Shadowbringers was such an excellent expansion. The instances, dungeons, the raids, the classes, the story. Like, I just want to know. I'm just really interested to see what they have in Endwalker that's gonna make us think that Shadowbringers, is basically like not it's nothing, I guess, if that makes sense, because like there's so much hype with Endwalker right now that I'm just like, this seems like it's gonna be the best expansion ever. So I'm really looking forward to that.
And I guess like going into that too, and kind of like what are some expectations, whether it's story wise or some of the other like mechanical pieces that we're getting, because Shadowbringers is heralded as and genuinely deserves this as being not only one of the most phenomenal expansions for an MMO and a subscription game, but also just one of the best JRPGs that have come out, or JRPG sequel from Square. So like there's a lot of love and a lot of like, yeah, we made it going on with Shadowbringers, but that's also a lot to follow up with Endwalker. So what are some of y'all's expectations on that piece?
Man, you're right. I think as fans, we are not, I think our expectations are, I don't want to say high, but I think more of like a humble standpoint, because we know it's going to be good. I think the challenge is over the years watching these characters grow and being able to deal with there may be a huge loss. Yeah. And we're ending something where we don't know where it's going. We have all this time we've had expectations of where it's going, but we really don't know where the heck this is going anymore. And that's scary in a way of like, okay, if once this is over in Walker, what is there going to be next? Like, how are they going to like really build on it? Are they already starting to build on it? Is that why there's a delay? And the fact that Yoshi, for the first time in his career, has delayed a game because he said that he saw things that we will never notice. But the fact that he noticed it, it doesn't feel right. It's not perfect. And I'm like, he said this is the biggest, most ambitious expansion that he's ever put any work in. And they have gone from corner to corner checking everything to make sure it was right. And that's why they need more time, because they feel like as fans of the game that they create, if they can feel it, they know it's not going to be right for us. And we would have loved it no matter what. Mm-hmm. And I think that right there is a real big staple that how large this expansion is going to be. So my hype meter went through the roof when I heard that. So the opposite effect, what a delay normally gives people, is like, oh man, all right. Now I'm like, please take as much time as you need, because if it's this big where you had to do a first and you're really out there being emotional about it, I don't know what I'm landing myself into right now. Yeah. So yeah, that's my answer.
I guess kind of that. Like, I'm really excited, and funny because obviously we're doing all the story, and I was even like thinking that because I'm just like, I'm really intrigued. I want to know how this farming gonna look. I really do. I'm excited for all. I really talked about the crafting in part one somewhat, and obviously we've been talking about the housing. I'm like, you know what? What if I can't buy a house, but I can buy a farm?
Yeah.
And so I'm excited to see what we're gonna get there. Obviously we have the classes, and that's fine, but I am intrigued to see like the farming, and then even seeing our minions. You buy all these minions, Kate, and we don't see them. Now you get to see them. I don't know what they're gonna do on your little farm, but you get to see them.
I've spent way too. Matt's always like, "How much gil you have? 100,000. How much gil do you have? 100,000. Why do you not have 1,000,000 gil? Well, you see." I found a minion on the auction house. I have no impulse control. Yeah, no, that's what I'm excited for too. I think also on my end, I'm really excited to see just I know that I said I wasn't like invested in the story as much, but like I'm excited to end Shadowbringers because everything that they have shown from Endwalker is fascinating and dark and big and grand. And I'm not saying that Shadowbringers wasn't, but Endwalker has like an epic feel. And there's that level of grandeur to like all of the intros and stuff that they've done throughout the years for Final Fantasy XIV. But there's something about this that just, and maybe it's because I'm in it and I'm more connected to it. It just feels bigger than an expansion, and it feels bigger than a piece of a game, which I think is something I'm really excited for.
I think one of the things I think that lends to that feeling is the creator. Because what Ishikawa did for Shadowbringers and kind of the point of it was to lay a foundation.
Yeah.
It was to get people reinvested emotionally into the characters in the story and then tie the world together in a cohesive plot to create an epic high fantasy narrative.
Yeah.
And what we're seeing for Endwalker, I feel like is like our, pinnacle for what the foundation Shadowbringers laid.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's all I got.
Yeah. And I think honestly, just kind of what Frank was saying, and obviously probably as we get to the next question of just like, what are we doing next?
Yeah.
And what's after this? Is there anything after this?
Oh yeah, there's plenty after this. I was worried about that. I never liked the end of things that I enjoy for years and years because it's coming at some point. But especially with Final Fantasy 16, I mean, I was really afraid because I was like, ooh, are they gonna do an 11 thing where they're just gonna let us sit for a long time and we're just gonna have to go off of nostalgia and stuff?
Yeah.
But Yoshi said as long as we keep having him and loving what he's doing, he's there, and that 14 is gonna just get stretched. And they proved it with Endwalker, with all the graphical updates, the engine updates. Like, this is why it's taking a long time, because they're upgrading the game itself as almost like, MMOs are live services, but as we go along to each expansion, it's a huge upgrade across the board to where it's not like the old days, like, you're playing the same game, rinse and repeat, milking the content. You're getting a brand new game every time. Each expansion is worth $60 plus, because it's a whole game. ESO expansions are $60 and it's DLC, that they should have gave you for free. So it's just got that feel where you're not getting 2 hours, you're getting like, oh God, 200 hours worth of content. Yeah. Maybe, this one's probably gonna be 500 hours of content, and that's not even like doing everything.
Yeah.
But yeah.
What about you, Dave?
Yeah.
I feel like I said, oh no, that's not purpose, so bad. But honestly, it's like I just expected just to keep on going. Like, you all hit all the points with it. I got complete faith. I mean, we'll see if Endwalker beats Shadowbringers, but I feel like it will for sure, because it already got me hooked. Like, they could be like, oh, this is kind of edgy. It's not much story. I'm gonna be like, yes, I love this mechanic. Like, they just impressed me so far that as they go on to, Endwalker and even afterwards, which I assume they mentioned was some type of reset of some sort, since they already are planning that far ahead, I am that confident, because I hope they revamp the whole thing. Really, my biggest hope, and Technique mentioned this before, saying like, oh, maybe it would have been like Final Fantasy XVI. I hope this is a big brain prediction. After they reset, maybe not directly, they're going to do another upgrade where, like, this would be Final Fantasy 17, but it's just 14 again. We just redone it.
14 too?
That's why, exactly. It's going to be 14 too. I really think
14R.
I really, really think, because that would
be a realm reborn.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because I don't see them doing another Final Fantasy 14. They're like, we're just going to keep building on this.
Too big, yeah.
And I feel like for newer players, they're going to say, hey, do you want to start here, or do you want to go through this amazing content? You get both. That's what I think they're planning.
What about you, Winter?
Honestly, I feel like they can do whatever. and however, and the community will all be here.
Yeah.
I'm all for whatever they're gonna do, because I know that whatever it is, it's in our best interest. Yoshi P
Yeah.
listens to us a lot, and like I'm all for it. So I don't know where I think Final Fantasy will go from here, but whatever it is, I will support it. I've been playing this game for years. What's more years, you know?
Yeah.
If possible,
What's another 10 years in the pot?
Yeah, I know. If possible, I'll even have my child, like
Yeah.
play Final Fantasy, like tank for us, raid. If you don't raid, you'll get grounded, stuff like that. Kind of stuff.
Complete that savage.
If you
do
don't
that
don't stick to your rotation, you don't get an allowance.
Exactly.
Oh,
So yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Sea Monster?
For me, I'm mostly expecting just a continuation of the amazing story. I'm expecting kind of a continuation of the franchise as a whole, like Tech said. A big thing that's partly why I sort of think the rejoining theory is something that I'm leaning towards, because if the shard is rejoined, but if they figure out a way to do it in a way that's safe, where all of the souls get merged, it allows them to create an entirely new world while keeping the character of the Warrior of Light, your NPC, preserved.
Yeah.
And you'll get to meet your friends again and re-meet the Scions, as more joined forms. I think overall for story mapping, having the main, something that Ishikawa is known for is pulling out all of those elements and being able to blow them up into a giant epic with a string of continuity in place. That's why we went all the way back to the Crystal Tower, which is where Shadowbringers really starts, is the Crystal Tower.
Yeah.
Technically, you could say that Shadowbringers actually starts in 11 when the world ends the first time. Because when you look at the existence of the MMO as a franchise, elements of 11 story-wise are actually pulled in to Final Fantasy XIV Online. That story and that game technically did not end. It just started again in 14.
Yeah.
So I feel like they're going to take similar, that kind of mapping and help pull us into the new franchise. And I think Endwalker is going to be the beginning of pulling us into that next stage of the franchise story-wise. Because something that we saw in Shadowbringers when we were introduced to the Sundering and to all of the different shards, and the fact that we could traverse different shards, was this perpetual idea of the calamity and the rejoining. And I think one of the reasons why Emmett Selk was made so empathetic to us was because his idea of the rejoining and the fact that the people who exist now are sundered, broken versions of their true selves.
Mm-hmm.
We are technically existing on a destroyed planet that is just a fraction of what it used to be. And I think that last line that Emmett says, "Remember us and remember that we once lived," is really an echoing mission statement for basically the Warrior of Light and the Scions figuring out how to rejoin the shards and how to rejoin that world that had split apart in a way that preserves us somewhat. And I think that's a big part of why the Warrior of Light is reconnecting with their past, and partly why the Warrior of Light is actually rejoining their sundered selves. So I think like a potential place where the story could go is we're on the moon and the shards rejoined, or we're going to go to a different shard, just like we went to the first, and we're going to experience that. I think the Warrior of Light is going to rejoin with all of its different elements and sundered souls the same way we did with our soul on the first. And I think at the very end, when we are whole and complete, that is going to be either the end of Final Fantasy XIV Online, story-wise, or that'll bring us into another arc. But I think overall, that's where the story map is headed. And I think honestly, that's an easy another 10 years plus, especially if you include going to each world before it's rejoined. So I think the first one, I think we're going to rejoin with the first, and then I think we're on to the next shard. Is kind of my TLDR.
If that happens, I'm all for it. I'll be here for another 10 years.
I agree.
He's even said he'd do it for another 10 years.
Like,
so
well,
I mean,
here we go again.
I think we've got a 10-year story map, honestly.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I feel
they already started it. So
I was like, I
good
feel
thing.
like we. Oh, go ahead, Matt.
I was gonna say, do you think for a 10-year thing we could have enough? I know they're already messing with the EXP and all the other stuff. Do you think we'd be able to? Are we gonna get like into a WoW situation where we're in the hundreds, or even have to reset back to the 50s? Then
They already. You talking about like the number crunches?
well, I know they're number crunching now, but I'm talking about like if we go 10 more years, do you think we'll end up in a situation? How high do you think we'll actually get to a max level?
Oh, level
or do you
up?
think, or do you think we'll actually reset?
No, I don't think the level's gonna go past. You know, if it ever gets to 100, I don't think, because he made some kind of.
I know they adjusted the numbers and crunched.
Yeah,
them,
he talked about leveling not being your level not being important at a certain point. And he said it's more about like the evolution of the skills and the mechanics of the game itself, to where I think he said something along the lines of like the level has become too much of a focus, and they're going to cap it at some point, and you're just going to have content, so maybe more skills evolve. Who knows what they're going to plan, but it's going to happen in 6.0. I mean 6.1. Because he did say we're going up to 90, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
And I think that's it, honestly, because he did say that the next expansion they're not worried about taking it to 100 or past that. So we'll see what they do.
Which presents an interesting challenge that I think Final Fantasy XIV has kind of, I guess, balanced really well. They've been able to keep new content new and fresh and keep old players happy, while also not making it a daunting task for new players. Like, that barrier of entry is fairly low, and it's fairly easy with a lot of help to come in. So it is one of those things where it's going to get real interesting as the longer we go, how that, because it becomes a harder balancing act. I
think the champion points in ESO, where the level hits and then there's like extend. I think that is a more great idea, because just imagine being a new player and be like, oh, I got to get to 100, 250 for a level.
And that's what I was thinking when Matt brought up really high levels, is I was like, that like leveling is something that turns off a new player really easy.
Yeah, and then obviously ESO redid all of their champions. Now it's like 36 and they've done it now, but also, which is kind of goes in the weird question what I was asking going forward, because at least from where you have leveling, you have to have some vertical progression of your characters are getting better. And then the question comes, are they just going to then start making it horizontal like ESO does for the most part? Yeah. And do you even have progression per se anymore?
I think you have to at that point.
Yeah.
Because I know that can be a turnoff for older players, where you're like, well, I did all this stuff, but for what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and
granted, in Final Fantasy, you get to 999. So I mean, who knows?
I know that is something with progression and high levels and numbers of how far we would actually be able to get, and if it's even possible.
Yeah. I also think one of the important things, I guess, for me, and obviously I'm not as well versed in the lore or really, mechanics too much on my side, but like as somebody like looking in, like logistically, it feels like this thing can't end. Like, it's the top selling MMO, or it's the most played MMO. It's something that has like, it's also a Cinderella story. It's something that came back and was just hated. That when it came out was just hated, and then now is like a gold standard, and something that is so unique and beloved, like by critics and fans at the same time, and has hit this balance. It would be a bad idea to even think about closing it off right now. The one thing...
Piggyback what you said, Kate, real quick. I think it's a very, very big notice that the CEO, like the big dog of Square Enix, loves Yoshi so much. Like, that relationship when they were on stage together, and Yoshi was just acting like a friend. In most cases, especially in Japanese culture, like the guy is like up here. It was a respect, because he knows that the Final Fantasy franchise is in good hands. So
yeah. No, and I think that one of the things that like I've thought about, and I know I've thought about since Matt mentioned it when we were prepping for the panel, was is there even a way to do like and it would obviously you can't do a Final Fantasy XIV vanilla because that would just be go play the bad game. But like, is there a way to do? Yeah, no classic. But like, is there potential to do something that is like the same but different, or like I don't know. I don't know if
with
that
14?
makes sense. Yeah, like with 14.
They already got New Game Plus where you can do everything over again.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's that. Yeah.
I love that
wouldn't
they
go
any
relive
further.
all that pain.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier and streamlined now. Thank goodness.
Gosh, I hate that we finished that streamline right as they implemented the streamline.
Yeah.
Matt, have you played Shadowbringers as a Dark Knight?
No, I've not yet. No.
It's Matt.
I love my bow.
Matt.
But do the story as Dark Knight. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, story as Dark Knight is better. It's more impactful. Those moments hit so much sweeter as Dark Knight.
Yeah.
So I was gonna ask too, like that is something that like really intrigues me because I've never been somebody with a lot of characters. I make my character, I get emotionally invested and attached to that character. I don't do multiple things. This is what I'm doing. But like I guess like from the perspective of, you know, y'all who've definitely like had different classes, different jobs, all that stuff. Like, is there replayability in the story overall to keep doing new characters? Not necessarily from a grindy aspect that you see a lot of MMOs. Like, I have 8 characters because I need to have 8 characters to grind what I want. But, like, is there a benefit to having them?
So are we referencing as in jobs or characters?
Oh,
in Final Fantasy, those are 2 different.
Well, I know. Yeah, I know. I guess I meant, like... So... Can you play through the story, like the main story as a Dark Knight if you unlock the Dark Knight job?
Yes.
You can go through and redo everything on the same character?
Yep.
Yes.
Oh.
One of the benefits of Final Fantasy XIV that is very unlike other MMOs is that on one character, you can play every job and every class. The only thing that is stationary is really your race and your locate, like where you come from.
That's the one thing I love about Final Fantasy the most out of all MMOs.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So you can go through every job and every class and every skill set and everything, every trade.
That's
do whatever you
amazing.
want.
Because I would have thought that you would have had to like redo like the main story pieces differently.
No.
All you have to do are your job quests. That's it.
Yeah.
And
He
all
has
of that
every
is new
character,
story
80.
and new content.
What?
So you have every character max level.
Oh, you mean every job?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And crafters and gatherers.
I got to a point where I was just like, you know what? I kind of want to try different things. I've never been a melee, so I wanted to try, you know, the melee classes. And funny enough, I was so scared of, like, so intimidated by ninja, but it was one of the most fun classes I've ever played. Same as dragoon, and warrior is my favorite tank to play.
So is there anything? So since I know we all enjoy this, is there anything you think they could do that make you not want to play the game anymore?
No.
Oh, Dave, what you
No.
got?
Dave, what do you?
I know I gave a gesture too. I mean, I'll still play, but can y'all make Blue Mage regular class? I miss it so much.
Okay, I agree with him on that. I don't
agree
like
with
that.
that
I learned
one.
all,
I don't like that special class
spells.
stuff.
I learned
Yeah.
all of them.
That's the only class I have yet to play. It's still
Dang.
not locked. Or sorry,
Honestly,
still locked.
as
The
a big
story's
fan, you
really
don't need
fun.
It is a fun story,
It's
but it don't
stupid.
got a point. It's like the only time Blue Mage is good is if you're grinding like old dungeons or like fates for like an event. But beyond that, they're not.
No fate. Stay away
It's
from
no
the
point.
fates.
It's no point.
They
Yeah,
one shot
two-shot
everything. They
Yep.
do comets. I can't stand
beautiful.
them.
Yeah. They are so pretty, but that's one thing that I can't get myself to even try Blue Mage is the fact that it's like on its own. I can't use it anywhere else except for like the open world, you know? So I'm not motivated as much.
And then what really sucks is like there's a way to get a special, I think Marlboro mount, but you need to do it with a whole group of Blue Mage. Those are really hard to find. So it's like it's not a point unless you just want to kind of flex to have it, which I did. But like if they could somehow make it to regular content, like just nerf it, change some things, make requirements, sure. and then another thing, if they make another limited job, they just need to stay away from that.
Yes, I agree.
I feel like we're all sitting on Yoshi P's knee as if he's Santa and being like, Yoshi P.
I
For Christmas, I want to play Boomage. I want Bunny Boy to be 6 feet plus. And
Wait, aren't bunny boys shorter than the female Vieras?
they are,
Yes,
and that
yes.
makes me so happy.
I'm so happy. I want to climb a tree.
The
female Vieras are
big bun
too-
girlfriend is pinnacle.
Oh my god.
That's amazing.
I agree. You know, because Yoshi, they said that they were not going to do any more races or no more. They're not going to pull a gender stuff. You know, because they were like, this is lore, and they broke lore for us. That's hardcore for Final Fantasy to do. They were like, you're gonna get bunny boys, and everybody was like, yeah. They're like, and Rothgar girls. Everybody was like, yeah. I was just like, what is going on?
We are getting our tiny twink boys and our giant muscle girls,
Yes.
and I feel like Yoshi spoiled child. I'm like
The way you look like a little
I'm
girl
like,
just now is awesome. She look like a child.
Kate
on
has
Christmas.
so many of those little elixirs saved up, changed, and ready.
so many.
I
have
bought way
so-
too many.
Oh, Fantasia.
Yeah, the little Fantasia.
There was
You know
a
how much people
sale.
spend on that? So
There's a
much
sale.
money.
Kate?
In just Fantasia.
You know,
I
I'm
have
gonna-
15. I have
I'm
15
I'm gonna get my
just
bunny
chilling.
boy professionally designed and then make him.
Mm.
Like
Let me-
that's.
go
where
ahead.
I'm
Sorry.
living. Oh, sorry. I'm
Oh,
just
you're
like I'm
good.
all excited about the bunny boys now.
Oh, speaking of Fantasias, let me just share with you. So, when in the beginning of like the game during like A Realm Reborn and Heaven's Ward, they made it so I guess I don't even remember, like Fantasias are account wide to where all your characters get it
Yeah.
or something, because every time I make an alt, each one of my alt has 11 Fantasias already. Is that
Oh,
crazy?
I didn't
Yep.
know that.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
But that was like back in the past. Now, when you buy a Fantasia, it's just per character. But for
I
some
wish they were-
reason, yeah.
I know that's kind of B. I wish they were account wide. They feel so expensive now.
$28 for 3, right? I think it's like
Yeah,
that.
when
Yeah,
there's
it's like $10 a
people-
pop.
When Kate
Mhm.
buys like 15 of them, then I understand why they charge
I
that
bought a
kind of money.
lot. There was a
Amen.
sale on it though, so it was like if I buy it now, it's not going to be as bad. And I know that I'm going to want to change again because I've changed twice. So
It's the highest selling item on the shop, I believe. I think it's the most famous.
I'm a Lalafell right now. I don't know what happened.
Oh, Dave, why?
I was a cat boy. I'm just like, why did I do? After I did it a day later, I'm like, why did I do this? Why did
I
do this?
almost made a Lalafell, and then I was like, no, I
Not a
want
tank.
to be hot. And then
I'm a tank.
and
I'm a
then I
tank
made
Lalafell.
I made the big
So hard.
lady, not the I made like I
Oh,
made
the
it
rodent.
Velvet?
I made a
Rogan.
very big
Yeah.
lady, and I was like, I like her. And
They're
then I
hot.
was like, but I want horns. And so I like size downgraded to like the teeny tiny
They're hot,
Alra.
For a second, I thought you were saying, "But I want whores," and I was
Oh,
like, "Well, I feel like as a big muscle lady, you could get even more of those."
oh no.
That meme of slamming the girl.
Horns.
All right, I'm done. The wall pin.
Mhm.
Oh, but
I just wanted to say I also had a Lalafell phase because I was determined to be a playable Moogle.
Guilty.
So I got the full Moogle set,
Set,
and I
yeah.
Moogle healer, and I just said Kupo. Like all my macros were Kupo. When people tried to talk to me, I just said Kupo. I was
That's
so
so-
annoying.
Funny.
oh my gosh. So we have to end this round table. We're gonna end it with this. To everybody in the chat right now, who may just showed up because they're curious, have you tried the expanded free trial of our critically acclaimed MMORPG, Final Fantasy XIV? You can play through the entirety of A Realm Reborn and the award-winning Heaven's Sword expansion up to level 60 for free with no restrictions on playtime. And with
Do it.
that,
Ubarashi.
the last question, what would you say to people starting out? Like what would you say, people how they can start the game, why they should start the game if they're not playing? Yeah. Anybody can go.
You should play it because it is the MMO version of Burger King. Like, you have it your way. You want to play it single player?
I thought she was gonna say you eat everything between the buns.
Wow.
But
The
also
way the character's
that.
looking, I don't know.
I mean, there's that side to it.
I'm sorry.
Tech's gotten used to me. Tech's like, this is either
Exactly. I was waiting for it.
gonna
I
go
was
one
like,
of
that's
two.
why I went like this. I was like, it's coming.
Tech's like waiting for it.
Oh my god.
But it's like, I mean, yes, you can eat everything between the buns, but also you can have it your way while doing so. So you can play single player and make your weird thirst trap Catboy Twink. And you can, RP. You don't even have to really play the game itself. You can just loiter around Limsa Lominsa and then acquire a dragon boyfriend and live out this really big spectacle story with a stranger you met on the internet. You can also be a hardcore gamer boy and, or girl or person and play through all of the raids and, try and be pro with it. You can go in with, competitive PvP. You can also just be a filthy casual and you can go in for crafting. You could do whatever you want, and you can also just play through the story, put it down, and then never touch it again until the next expansion comes out. It's whatever you want it to be. And the thing is that all of the content is good. None of it is half-assed. So if you want a really good single player game, you will get it. If you want something where you're just dicking around and socializing, almost like it's VR chat mixed with Neopets, mixed with a Pro Boards forum.
Go into a city like during Christmas and you will hear carols from the bards. That was the most amazing. It blew my mind.
Sometimes I just hang out and walk around.
Same.
Because it's
Limsa's
just
my home.
Yeah, it's just so nice. But it really is. All the content is so well developed. It's really just whatever you want. So for $60 or, for free up to level 60 and then your subscription afterwards, that's a lot of really quality content with a ton of options that you just get to have. There is no reason not to. It's such a good investment in a game. It's unlimited hours and amazing content.
I'll go since everybody else seems to think.
I'm just
waiting for anybody else to talk.
Why should we start out? I think everybody should give it a go because I do think I think the community is really well, which we've talked about plenty of times. I don't think this is one MMO that I'm not afraid, as we always said, to just go and try things because you're not going to get yelled at for just messing it up. I think you should also just try all the characters and just try everything because I think there is, as the long monologue from Sea Monster of there is something for everyone.
Yep.
And so just trying all the characters, you'll find something. And I think it is just one of the easiest games to get into, to be honest. We've seen with other MMOs, WoW, getting it, you got to power your level all the way back up and then hopefully do stuff on ESO. You might start in the wrong zone and you're never going to find yourself. And obviously there's other ones going out, but or even New World where you might just be in war for 35 days straight and never can take a break. Versus this one, it's just it seemed to be where it allows you to play as much as you like, and then it also allows you to take a break as much as you like, and you still don't feel like you miss anything or you're completely lost.
Yep.
Yeah.
I guess I'll go. Final Fantasy XIV, I don't even consider it an MMO or a game. It's magic because the little details hit you. And it's funny because I played for so long and I never noticed that the chatter that you hear in the background is because a certain amount of people get together. It's not background noise in Limsa. So if you have more than I don't know, I think it's 5 or 10 people, you'll hear chatter, open ambient noise chatter in the background. And it's because a gathering of people get together. Or there's a mount quest. People go to Revenant's Toll or Limsa and get on their mounts and they form these long lines and take pictures and make movies and interactive things. You weren't kidding about the boyfriend thing. There's people asking for boyfriends and girlfriends just to RP with. I had a girl, a female Mikote, and she was hot as hell, goddamn. And somebody DM me, they were like, "Can you be my hot cat girl?" And I was like, "I was let you know, I'm a guy." They were like, "I don't care. That's a cat girl right now, and I'm gonna pay you." I was like, "Pay me? That's a whole different story." No,
this is the realm of RP in a realm reborn. Okay,
they're really, they are serious about the RP, and this is cool. The thing is, like, when you get through raiding and you get through all the sweaty work, and you just sit down in Limsa and just watch the relationships form. Like, there's people that sit on their bench; they're always there on their bench, and you just walk around and become a part of the world. And I call it the real isekai, because it's the ultimate escape. And the biggest advice for new people is don't be afraid to tell people you're new, because they'll love you. Like, they can see the green leaf, but if you say, "Hey, I'm new, I don't know how to do this," like, you almost have a line of people trying to jump to help you, and the mentors are a little too serious about their job.
There was, just like, speaking to the new player thing, my partner and I, so I started a new character on a new server, and I'm kind of running my partner through the world of award-winning MMORPG Final Fantasy XIV online, free up to level 60 through A Realm Reborn. And we have our little green sprouts over our head, and we're just doing the usual thing, which is like taking a height difference pictures and being weird and being like, "Oh, what if we had this scenario with our OCs and they kissed?" And, like, just derping around in Gridania, and somebody saw our little sprouts and came over and welcomed us to the game, and then gave us little minions.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so sweet, and it was so nice, and that kind of experience isn't unusual.
Mm-hmm.
Play this game.
I think for me, what I would give us an advice for new players is to just take it slow, like, pace it as you want it, and just live the fantasy life. Because I love, waking up in the morning. I mean, I don't do it now, but when I first started Final Fantasy, I just loved, getting back from work or school and logging in, and it was like I was just living another life and just enjoying it to the fullest, and and living that MMO life with your friends on voice or whatever. But it's such a fun game. Like everyone has said, there's something for everybody. And they always add something to it, so there's more to the list to do. There's always something to do.
Well, chime on in. Honestly, you all hit the points. Like, really, the community in this game really stands out. I played a lot of MMOs. I have not seen a community this engaged with other people. It's a difference playing an MMO where you doing your thing and you play with somebody by chance and that's it. You've developed friends, mutuals, people that are like, "Oh, you're in this housing district," like Technique mentioned earlier. Like, people are very engaged and they're very welcoming. And if you're new, my advice is, like what you said, take it slow, look up some of the mechanics, but really just ask for help. I guarantee you, if you're in one of the cities and you just were out loud like, "Hey, I don't know what I'm doing, I'm confused about this," people are going to message you because they want to help. They want to get the player base. They want to just be a part and have you a part of that community. And then at the end of the day, like I said, you can try it for free up to level 60. That's a lot of content. It's like at worst, it's like, well, I don't spend all this money. You don't. Just play, see how you feel. Most people I've seen that actually gave it a shot end up sticking around. So really, you have nothing to lose by even giving it just 2 hours. But watch 2 hours turn into 2,000. That happens to majority of us in this game. So give it a shot, try it. Community's great. There's something for everybody, and like, even as we mentioned multiple times here, there is so much love put into this game. I've had someone join just because they heard like Shiva's theme in one of the battles. Like, they say, "This music is great. I'm listening. I'm gonna play." So it's a lot of love. So give it a shot.
I'll go because I think, like, one of the things that I really appreciate, and I think right now, like, I know that, like, the world is supposed to be opened back up for a lot of people, but I know for a lot of other people, they're still at home a lot. They're still looking for ways to connect. And if you're not somebody who wants to play with other people, you can still play Final Fantasy, just as everybody has said, just as we have, explained. Like, it is built for you to play the way you want. If you want to play with somebody else that you're away from, or even if you just have like a busy life, like honestly, Matt and I live in the same house, we're married, but we also have really, really busy schedules, and we don't get time to just kind of sit and be with each other. Final Fantasy is one of the games that we've been able to just be and connect and play and put hours into our characters, and I make him stay still so I can take weird pictures with him, and like it is a beautiful communal experience when you have people to do it with. And because it has that free 60 like to level 60 piece, it's an easy way to like round up your friends and be like, hey, let's just try this. And you can play on PS4, and it is cross-platform with PC. Like there are ways built in for you to get into this. And I think the fact that, like we've talked through part 1 and even here, the community aspect of this game is so big and important that I think that, like, I don't know, it just feels like it connects you to people, and it feels like it connects you to people that you've never even played with. I haven't played a lot, like I'm in Frankenwinter's guild, and I haven't played a lot with them. I've never played with Sea Monster or Dave, but like just talking about and sharing moments from our own experiences, it's connecting, and it honestly reminds me of that Japanese show that they did, the live action. It's called Final Fantasy XIV Dad of Light, and it's about this kid like reforging his relationship with his father, who is completely distant, and doing it all through the game. So all that is to say, if you're looking for a way to connect to other people, and I think that's on Netflix, I watched it on Netflix. If you're looking for a way to connect with other people right now and you don't know how to, if you have friend groups that are stuck in different states, if you just feel like alone, like really, Final Fantasy XIV is a good way to connect. And also it's free for 60 levels. It's a lot of content. So even if you don't like it and you want to go play some Apex or something, that's also cool. But you can try this out. Matt?
I mean, the cool thing is it's 60 each job, I believe. So you can't just, you don't just get to do one, you get to do all of them.
Yeah.
But yes.
But with that, if anybody has any questions in chat, we got like 5 minutes. If not, there's Roby Game said that he's a WoW refugee and started playing Final Fantasy XIV. He's having a lot of fun and breaking some habits, but trying to do all the quests. Do y'all have any, this is like a really fun question, be real quick. Do y'all have any side quests that you think people should do that like they may not find?
The Great Serpent of Ronka.
That's a good one. Anything with a mount.
Mount or minion.
Mounts.
Actually, the beast tribes are really, really good.
Oh, yeah, those are good.
A lot of people skip those or just do the bare minimum to get, to whatever, but the beast tribes are really, really good.
Are
And
they
all
worth
beasts. Oh, go ahead.
I was saying, are they worth doing if you've already passed them? Because I've tried doing some of them, but I'm like, none of this stuff, like, what do I get out of this?
It does,
They are
because all beast tribes, I mean, if you're a minion collector, a mount collector, that in itself is a reason to do it. I know the one in Peering Stones in the Fringes, you can get colored nails as a glamour piece.
Oh.
What?
Yep.
Yeah, the beast tribes, you get like all the really cool, like unusual
I want
glamour
nail
stuff and unique
polish.
pets. Wait, was the fox minion a beast tribe one? I can't remember. Or was that one just a really specific?
I think that's a really specific one.
Yeah, it's from raids, I believe.
Oh,
Or
that's what it
extremes.
was.
Yeah, but all beast tribes give a mount and I believe a minion. The one with the tank is something you do with the crafting one from Shadowbringers. So
Awesome. Cool. Well, thank y'all so much for coming on and sitting with us for like 3 hours to talk Final Fantasy and really get into why this is a great community and why we love the game. Let's all sign off. Matt, we'll start with you.
Yeah, you all can find me on Twitter at DATM18, DATTM18. I do not stream either. Yeah.
Winter.
Hello, I'm Winter. Thanks for having me again tonight. You can find me on Twitter. I don't stream, but you can find me on Twitter. On Twitter at twitter.com/AKOSI Winter. You'll see all of my Final Fantasy posts there. I do a lot of retweets on house designs. You'll see my occasional house designs. And right now I'm playing a lot of New World, Final Fantasy, and Battlefield. So.
Dave?
All right. Hey, everybody. My name is Data Dave. Thank y'all for having me again. You can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/DataDave and everywhere else at Data Dave TV. Stream, voice act, a lot of Pokemon Unite, Final Fantasy XIV, a wave of Endwalker. Can't wait. And you'll see me on Pokemon Diamond Pearl pretty soon, too, as well.
Sea Monster?
I am that Sea Monster, and you can find me on twitch.tv/that Sea Monster. I'm bringing back drawn plays with Endwalker, where my partner will draw your Warrior of Light while I grind and do my best to catch up with award-winning MMORPG Final Fantasy XIV Online, free up to level 60. And I also do some voice acting with my friend Data Dave down there, and yeah, so like come over and hang out on mainstream.
Frank.
I am Frank, aka Technique. You could find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/Technique. No U, no E, just a Q at the end. And on Twitter at Technique TV, with the T and the V, obviously. No U, no E at the end. Everything is on Twitter, so follow the Twitter. I do a lot of stuff. I'm busy all the time. Just got an email about a flight that's earlier than I expected. So saw the face change. Yeah. So I guess I'll be flying out Sunday. I gotta go get a booster shot now. Yeah. But other than that, yeah, come by the stream. Yeah, at 6 a.m. every day till about 2 3 o'clock, depends. And we stream a lot of RPGs and MMOs.
Awesome. And y'all out there can find me on Twitter at OMamaThrandir. It's down there. It's very long. If I spelled it out, that takes a lot of time. And if you want to join our community at But Why Though, we have a Discord server where we talk everything. We talk anime, manga, Final Fantasy, gaming, current events. We're a safe space for everybody where we really push just talking through all the stuff that we're experiencing and hyping each other up in everything pop culture. That's discord.gg/butwhythough, BUTWHYTHO. I will spell that out. Thank you everybody who showed up. Thank you everybody on this panel, and we're out.
Yeah, thank you all for coming.
Oh.